Hey, what's up guys? It's Solomon here, and today's topic is going to be about the cost of living in Maple Ridge. Now, anyone who has ever been to Maple Ridge knows that it is a beautiful little town with a population of fewer than 100,000 people and is nestled up against the Golden Ears Bridge, the Golden Ears Mountain. Maple Ridge is a fantastic place to live, raise a family. There's so many outdoorsy things to do, and you're only about 35 kilometers from downtown Vancouver. It's a perfect place for anybody who has a family. It's very family oriented. It's a great destination for people who are looking to move to the city. Now, the good news is that it's also a smaller cost of living as compared to Vancouver. Now, before we jump on into this video, I just wanted to let you know we're getting tons of people messaging us about what it costs to live in Maple Ridge, what it costs to live in Vancouver, Fraser Valley, or even Chilliwack. And we're getting these people texting us, emailing us, and even calling us. So if you are interested to know more about this city and you wanted to know some expert advice, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, my team. My number again is at the bottom of this video, and I hope to hear from you soon. So let's jump on in. All right, to understand the cost of living differences between Maple Ridge and Vancouver, we'll need to look at multiple vital metrics. Now, in particular, this post will look at the following 10 measures of affordability. All right, so we're going to talk about rental pricing, housing pricing, grocery costs, dining costs, utilities, gas prices, medium income, property taxes, commuting, and as well as childcare costs. All right, let's talk about rental pricing out here in Maple Ridge. Now, anyone who has looked at the Vancouver rental market knows how crazy it has become. While rentals in Vancouver used to be somewhat affordable, that has all but gone away in recent years. Rents in Vancouver are now $2,200 per month for just a one-bedroom apartment and $3,000 for a two-bedroom. Now, these are some of the most costly rents in all of Canada. Fortunately, Maple Ridge is significantly less expensive. Estimates for a two-bedroom apartment in Maple Ridge are cheaper than a one-bedroom in Vancouver. So these apartments run for about $1,950 per month for a two-bedroom, and a one-bedroom typically goes for about $1,350 a month. Electing to rent in Maple Ridge as opposed to Vancouver can save you about 40% of your month in rent costs. If you're looking to rent temporarily and buy a house, saving this much rent will enable you to do that faster. So if you rent a two-bedroom in Maple Ridge, you'll save over $1,000 a month on average relative to Vancouver. So you can take those savings and put $12,000 a year extra towards a home. And within 5 years, you'll have about $60,000 for your down payment saved. All right, housing costs. Compared with Vancouver, the housing prices of Maple Ridge are significantly cheaper. A single family home in Vancouver runs for about $2 million. Whereas in Maple Ridge, you could get a house for about $860,000, and I can get you a really nice one. Now, one of the beautiful things about Maple Ridge is that you can get condos even cheaper. So a condo in Maple Ridge, like a townhouse, could get you about $500,000 on average. And of course, a condo in Vancouver, you're looking at over $1 million for a townhouse even. So your monthly mortgage payment with an average Maple Ridge home would be about $3,600. Which is less than half of the mortgage payments for an average home, assuming you put 20% down. That's comparing it with Vancouver. Now, if you're looking for a place to live that's close to the city with fantastic schools, but doesn't have quite the same cost of living expenses, then Maple Ridge is the obvious choice. It's one of the best places to be living in that's affordable. All right, let's talk about the grocery costs. So as is often the case when you're looking at the cost of living differences between the suburbs and the city, housing costs are not the only place you save money. Groceries and other products are also cheaper. So people in Maple Ridge have an estimated 14.3% of their grocery expenditures per year relative to their Vancouver counterparts. So if you spend $200 a week on food, that means you'll spend approximately $30 per week or $1,500 less per year compared to living in Vancouver. All right, if you're like me, and I've said this before, I love to eat, I love to dine outside. People in Maple Ridge save a lot of money on restaurant meals. It's not as expensive as, say, Vancouver. They're about 11% less. The restaurants do cost about 11% less. And people who live in Maple Ridge, no, you're not getting less quality. There are a lot of fantastic dining choices in this region, no matter what you feel like having. All right, let's talk about the cost of utilities. So utilities are slightly less in Maple Ridge than in Vancouver. Electricity rates, for example, are the same as the Lower Mainland and the islands, so those don't change significantly. However, water, trash, and other utilities are cheaper in Maple Ridge than in Vancouver. I know with Maple Ridge, you also pay separately if you're a homeowner for garbage disposal. So a website called Numbeo estimates that a 915 square foot apartment would incur approximately $73 in charges per month in Maple Ridge compared to like $90 a month in Vancouver. So it's a bit of a saving. It's small, but you know, every little bit will count. Now, cost of living in Maple Ridge for gas. So gas prices. Unfortunately, gas prices tend to be high pretty much anywhere in British Columbia. Maple Ridge is no exception. While gas may be a little bit cheaper there on average, you won't be finding any fantastic deals unless you go drive to Mission, which is another half an hour away. But you're still looking at about $1.30 to $1.40 a liter. So maybe look at getting an electric vehicle. So what's people's income? So the median income in Maple Ridge, so during the last census, Vancouver had a median income of $72,000. That figure was, however, on the rise, so it wouldn't be surprising if we were much better in Maple Ridge. So Maple Ridge's income, according to Townfolio, another cool website, is $86,000 a year, which is quite a bit higher than Vancouver's. All right, another thing that homeowners face is property taxes, and unfortunately, you will pay more as a percentage in property taxes by living in Maple Ridge. Even though your absolute dollar value will be less for a home, you still got to pay a bit more in property taxes compared to Vancouver's really low property tax rate. So for example, on $1 million property, you'll pay approximately $4,400 a year in property taxes versus $2,560 in Vancouver. However, that doesn't tell the full story. Recall that the average single home in Vancouver costs $2 million or more. So that means if you buy a home in Vancouver, you can expect to pay $5,120 in property taxes each year. However, homes in Maple Ridge are only like $860,000 on average. So therefore, if you buy one of these homes, you'll pay about $3,784 a year in property taxes. Now, since the average home price is much less, even though your property tax percentage is higher, you're still paying less overall, which is music to some people's ears. Now, with that said, if there were to all of a sudden be an extreme demand for Maple Ridge homes and your assessed value were to skyrocket, then in theory, your property tax bill could become much more expensive. However, it's doubtful that Maple Ridge homes will be exceeding $2 million in value anytime soon on average. Now, if you wanted to know the BC assessment values, you can click the link up here and it tells you all the latest 2020 BC assessment values. All right, let's talk about commuting. If you live in Maple Ridge, it's pretty hard to avoid a commute. There aren't as many public transportation options in the suburbs as there are in Vancouver, but you should expect to own a car if you live in Maple Ridge. And owning a vehicle means that you'll be paying car, maintenance, gas, and approximately $1,800 in car insurance every year. While it's not extremely expensive, it's also not cheap. You'll have to plan and budget accordingly. There is local bus service, however, and we have a train service that takes you straight down to the waterfront station downtown if you're looking to work downtown. It's the West Coast Express, which runs, I believe, 5 times in the morning, and then I believe some schedules in the evening as well to get you home. The cost to commute to Vancouver depends heavily on how you get into the city. The West Coast Express train can take you from Maple Ridge to downtown for about $17 per day round trip, or you can go for a monthly plan, which is $251 a month. While this isn't cheap, it's also not insanely expensive either, and you save quite a bit of time as you're not in traffic. So for people who work in downtown Vancouver, it's worthwhile to get this monthly pass. So again, $250 will take you straight downtown Vancouver to the waterfront station. All right, let's talk about the childcare costs. Vancouver's childcare costs are, some of the most expensive in Canada. Putting an infant into daycare currently costs around $1,400 per month on average, and very few cities in Canada top that amount. Fortunately for parents, Maple Ridge is much more affordable. You can expect to pay less than $1,000 a month in this part of BC, and there's even a pilot project to provide $10 per day childcare at one of the childcare facilities in Maple Ridge. And by choosing Maple Ridge instead of Vancouver, you'll save lots of money on childcare expenditures. Of course, you can save $1,000 on your daycare expenses. That lets you set money aside for other family expenses like a down payment on a home, your RESP, RRSP, etc. Being able to save $1,000 per month on childcare is a significant upside for living in this city. All right, Maple Ridge is an alternative to downtown Vancouver living. Now, your overall expenses obviously will be cheaper in Maple Ridge than living in downtown Vancouver. Now, for starters, in Maple Ridge, restaurants and other activities will be much less since rents are not as high, and you'll be able to go out to places like the Keg without fighting like the crowds of downtown Vancouver as well. Maple Ridge also has plenty of grocery stores which help keep the cost of living lower as well, and some great farm markets as well. Now, Maple Ridge has excellent public schools to which you can send your kids. The schools are free. So you also don't need to factor in the cost of tuition into your calculations. It still has proximity to Vancouver, so if you want to be close but don't want all the cost, then Maple Ridge might be the answer for you. It's quite a bit cheaper than living in Vancouver, and the West Coast Express makes it so easy to get to downtown, and the fact that restaurants, grocery stores, and other fun activities are cheaper means that you won't spend quite as much there either. So yeah, that's the thing about Maple Ridge. I've sold a lot of homes there to families. We've moved a lot of people out there. It's very affordable. It's quiet city, and it's got a lot of stuff going on there too. A lot of potential happening, a lot of development. So again, if you want to save some money, you want to find the right deals out here in Maple Ridge, don't hesitate to contact your local realtor or even me. I know basically every single neighborhood in Maple Ridge, and I can get you all the top listings and all the top deals. Just don't hesitate to sign up on our website, search bcrealestate.com. Email me, text me. We get lots of people messaging us. We love it. So don't hesitate to ask us any questions. And again, it's a pleasure to be presenting you this cost of living on Maple Ridge. And if you have any more questions, just hit us up, and don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and look out for our next video. Thanks for watching.